There was also that moment where President Trump invited Prime Minister Anwar into the official limousine, the Beast. So I think many of us are curious, was that spontaneous? And in respect to diplomacy, from your point of view, how do you see that? What message does it send?
I think that, first of all, it was definitely spontaneous. The president doesn't do things like that based on what people like me tell him to do. The president wanted to do that. I can tell you there was a gasp. You couldn't really hear it because there was all the music. There was a gasp from all the security people on both sides about that. And, you know, look, there's a reality which is, and the Prime Minister Anwar sort of teased Secretary of State Rubio about this. In general, the systems on both sides don't really like the leaders to be together without anybody else, because then we don't really know what they talked about. But what is clear to me, and I happened to see, I had the good fortune to see Malaysia's 2 deputy prime ministers last night, and I was telling them, this is what diplomats work for. And the reality is, I said to them, if it goes badly, it's the ambassador's fault. But when it's a success, it's because the leaders are great. And what we saw was we got the leaders together, they connected, they were able to have very candid conversations, including on tough issues like Gaza, where the Prime Minister was able to very articulately put forward Malaysia's views on Gaza. And I think he heard from the President of the President's strong commitment to maintaining the agreement in Gaza, trying to promote peace there, and how important that is to him. So what you can see is there's one model, which is there's a room and all the people who matter are in the room. And there are people who are jumping up and down outside the window waving signs. And then, so that's one model. You know, sometimes you can hear their voices inside the room, sometimes you can't. Sometimes you notice the signs, sometimes you don't. The other model is you can be at the table in the room making your voice heard. I think the Prime Minister and the government of Malaysia have decided that that actually is a more effective model. And from the US perspective, we agree. We'd much rather have a serious conversation, and one where we're not necessarily going to agree, but where we understand each other's positions, rather than have a bunch of sort of jumping up and down outside the room.
Okay. Now,